Thankfully, Miguel Vargas and Tristan Peters are red hot at the plate. Otherwise, it'd be painful to think where this team would be without their hot streaks.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter. On today's show, I'll get to the next Japanese star player the White Sox could be targeting in the offseason. That comes after discussing Sean Burke's short outing being another example that this rotation could use a recharge. But first, let's talk about Miguel Vargas and Tristan Peters continuing their hot streaks with another great night and how they are carrying the offense lately. And recently, Peters is doing things that only Hall of Famers have done. And Vargas is above average in about every important metric you want an all-star hitter to be in. And those two are absolutely just scorching hot at the plate right now. And you could basically say they are carrying this offense with some key contributions from Sam Antonacci and Chase Mydroth and Braden Montgomery, especially in this recent series win over the Rangers. And Vargas's and Peters' recent amazing production is just what the team needed to cover for Munetaka Murakami and Colson Montgomery's recent major slumps. Especially, those two came through big at the plate to help carry the White Sox to a 9-7 record through this really tough 16 straight game stretch of schedule. And yeah, it would have been nice to pick up a few more wins. They could have actually swept the Cubs, for example. But 9-7 means they survived while still being in first place. And they won 3 of the 5 series that they played during that stretch. And right now, all that matters is winning series. It keeps putting the pressure then on the Guardians to basically go on a crazy run, which, thanks for nothing, Angels. Thanks for doing absolutely zilch and basically being the Angels. And I know the Guardians are scary just because they play the easier schedule. But they basically cannot win every single game. So right now the goal has to be, and as the White Sox are constructed, they're constructed to win series. They're not really constructed to go on, and I'll keep advocating for it, and not advocating for it because I would love to see it, but I'll keep advocating about it and just keep pointing it out. They're not built to go on like a 10 to 20 game win streak. I would love for it to happen. But as I'll talk about in the second segment, some of their flaws are going to hold them back. But the way Vargas and Peters have produced at the plate, it is at least allowed the White Sox to still focus on what they can control and that they don't need anyone's help to maintain a lead in this division race. Now, this heater, though, has got to travel to Minnesota as the White Sox have an incredible chance to basically make sure the Twins are never getting back into the Central Division race. And the Twins are fading again because they still can't pick a lane. But you know what? Help pick that lane for them. And that lane should be, you're done. No more of you. You're out of here. But prior to Peters homering in his 5th straight game, like he did last night, he was already doing things that only Jimmy Fox and Joe DiMaggio did per OptaStats. They tweeted this out before yesterday's game at OptaStats. Feats for Tristan Peters in 2026. 6 RBIs in a game. 5 times on base in a game. 4 straight games with a home run. Cycle, grand slam, walk-off home run. Only 2 others in MLB history have done all that in one season. Jimmy Fox, 1933, and Joe DiMaggio. And then, per Sarah Langs, Peters' 5th straight homer matched Munetaka's mark earlier this season. And that makes the White Sox the first team since at least 1900 to have 2 rookies have a 5+ game home run streak in a single season. And also, Past 2 games, Peters just fell a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. This man's got an OPS over 1,000 this month and over the past 15 days. And so does Miguel Vargas. And I like this tweet from @BaseballWorld from JustBaseball.com showing the growth Vargas has made to go from basically being a potential major bust to actually being a legit all-star. I mean, for those watching on YouTube, look at all the red. It's red in every single metric that Baseball Savant measures. And everything in red that you definitely want to have, like WOBA, and red meaning good. WOBA, slug, OBP, barrel percentage, walk percentage, strikeout percentage. And this is what manager Will Venable recently said about what Vargas has been doing at the plate.
He just has been so consistent with, obviously being dangerous and having a move that he's really confident in that is producing a lot of damage, but just never really giving in and just continuing to make good swing decisions. And yeah, you find these little pockets and stretches where, maybe he's just not being attacked as much and he's not giving in, and I think that's just where Vargas really found his consistency this year is he's just throwing out the same approach, the same swing every single day.
And I love how he didn't give in on his career going away, his career going to be a bust. I will always respect that. And Tristan Peters, he's kind of doing the same thing. I mean, I talked about it on yesterday's show. It looked like midnight was about to strike on him. But he's raging back. He's fighting back. And look at how Vargas and Peters made up basically for the weak offensive stretch that Mune and Colson had during this 16 stretch of schedule. Now, fair warning, I pulled this at 10:52 p.m. last night, so hopefully these were refreshed on Fangraphs. But look at the WRC plus Peters and Vargas had during that stretch. Well over 200. WAR 1.2 for Vargas, 1.1 for Peters, and the walk and the strikeout percentages are very, very good, obviously. I mean, Vargas, 21.9%, Peters, 12%. But look at the strikeouts compared to the strikeout percentage of Munetaka Murakami, 33, and Colson, 44. And then look at the win probability added. 0.58 for Vargas, for Peters, 0.42 for Vargas. Basically, not only did those two basically cancel out the struggles of Mooney and Colson, they overcame it. And then look at what they did during that 16-game stretch relative to the rest of the team. And they have gotten varied support from Sam and Chase and Braden, and then Randall Grichuk when he has played against lefties. But even Drew Romo pitched in. Also, quick note for those watching on YouTube, where I have got the Fangraphs. Andrew Benintendi isn't listed because I selected active players because I did take out Edgar Caro's 2 games. But Benintendi, he was actually not helping at a great level either. But look at the offensive production. After Sam Tadachi's 106 WRC plus, everybody else has a WRC plus under 100. So just imagine where this team would be right now if they didn't have Vargas and Peters basically on this heater during the 16-game stretch. It would be doomsday. However, they're still in first place with a chance to win another series and take a division foe out of the race for the title. Well, Sean Burke had a horrible outing yesterday and looks gassed, and it means the White Sox are going to have to figure out how to recharge him if the club hopes to win the AL Central. Let's discuss next. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. And I like how convenient it is too. It's just those small portable shots that I can grab whenever I need that little pick-me-up. And those little jolts of energy are the best part of 5-Hour Energy. I don't need to brew another pot of coffee or chug down 2 pops in the afternoon just to get that caffeine boost to get over that 2 p.m. energy drain. And what is even better is 5-Hour Energy is making sure to deliver you that pick-me-up with nostalgic flavoring. Get candy-flavored chaos with fruity rainbow 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, available at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. And Chicago's in the middle of an unexpected race for a division title, and you should be there live and in person for this bonus year of this team being competitive, because Southsiders are not only winning, but they're entertaining to watch. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. And that's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps, and it's so simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. So what you see is what you pay, period. And I use Game Time whenever I want to go see a game. Back when Chicago kicked off the season in Milwaukee, I took my nephew for his birthday. I got to look like the cool uncle because I got field level seats at an amazing price. And the best part is the app is so easy to use. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. And that's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit up a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. This is now my 3rd season podcasting here. I've been covering the team well before that, and I've also covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And Sean Burke, he may need that 15-day staycation like what Davis Martin has gotten, because the man is clearly pitching on tired legs. 8 walks last night. He could only cover 3+ innings. Now, the only difference between Burke and Martin, though, is, Sean has shown he can battle, but he's still not really eating innings. Outside of that 7-inning stretch against the Reds, it's been very rough sledding for him. It's been a battle. In fact, hardly any starter provided much length during that 16-game stretch, or this month for that matter. And this is the conundrum the club was going to face in basically being ahead of schedule in the return to competitiveness. They would be rolling with guys who have never pitched this many innings before or made this many starts before in a season in their career. The first time through, getting through the grind of a season, yeah, it can be taxing. And you're seeing Sean Burke and Davis Martin deal with it. And you sort of saw Sean Burke deal with it last year when he pitched well over his career innings. But he had that, temporary relocation to Charlotte to work on some things. So obviously it wasn't as taxing, and he didn't make 22 starts or 23 starts like he did yesterday. And in a way, Anthony Kay, he's likely getting readjusted to throwing this many innings on 5 days rest. He was a horse in Japan, but in Japan, you throw once a week. That was the issue he had at the beginning of the season, was just getting acclimated to pitching 5 days or on 5 days rest instead of a full 7 like they do in Japan. But manager Will Venable, pitching coach Zach Bove, and pitching director Brian Bannister, they've got to figure out how to get a recharge for these guys. And also somehow, some way, find a way to get Luis Castillo at least to be effective enough to do what he was meant to do when he was brought here. Eat up some innings. Because bullpenning or going with an out-getter approach, it can work for a small stretch, and it could definitely work for a playoff series. But the White Sox still have to take care of business for a few more weeks. That's a tall ask for your bullpen. So you got to figure out how to refresh guys like Burke, and you got to do it quickly. One solution, the September 1st call-up. And that makes whoever they decide to add even more important because that person can help in that recharge. And I think after what you saw with Burke, basically the energy bar at, near zero, you got to either look at Drew Thorpe or Noah Schultz. Thorpe, he had a solid outing on Tuesday night in his rehab assignment. He's likely going to get one more rehab assignment on Sunday. Noah Schultz, he was okay yesterday in Charlotte too. Although the portion I tuned into was like, oh boy. I turned in, I think it was the 4th inning. I was able to turn in, and yeah, he was giving up walks and nearly gave up a home run. But he minimized the damage. But those are the guys that I think you need to call up because they need innings now more than ever. Tanner McDougal, he would be bullpen help that you could still add, but you're going to need then someone like Jonathan Cannon to show that he can keep teams off the scoreboard, and he didn't show that yesterday. He did get the 3-out save. And actually, the velocity on his four-seamer is up. He was hitting 97. I don't remember him hitting 97. He was hitting 95 a few times. I remember that four-seamer consistently being in 93, 94, though. So, kudos. But I also saw a guy where the rest of the stuff just wasn't very special, at least after that first at-bat. The first at-bat, it was like, okay, the sweeper's working. It looks like this is like Jonathan Cannon that was showing promise in 2024. And I was like, no. He's low leverage, long relief at best. And I'm not sure he can go more than 3 innings effectively, like, say, Eric Fetty. Eric Fetty has understood the assignment. And Sean Newcomb, he's been the one reliable arm that you can count on to give you 2 or 3 innings as well. Otherwise, Trevor Richards, I think his arm is about to fall off too. He needs a recharge. And Brian Hudson obviously has been very good in high leverage as long as there's no base runners on. And Grant Taylor, they're trying to get him to do more. But you got to probably get some length from either Thorpe or Schultz, whoever you decide. Because you could easily solve the 5th starter problem with Newcomb and Fetty teaming up together. But if Burke is going to run out there and look gassed, then now you got a whole new problem in the rotation. And yeah, he just set a new career high in innings and starts. And the past 2 seasons is the most innings he's ever thrown. But again, he got that little Charlotte reset last year. And this running out of gas is nothing new for newly competitive teams. It takes a bit to build up that full 162 endurance. Different guys have different body types that can react to this. But this organization does have to figure out the fatigue issues, though, that they're having with their young pitchers. Because you saw Shane Smith run into a wall last year. And you just saw Davis Martin have the same thing. And now you're seeing it with Burke. They kind of have to figure it out because the issue is like with Burke and even Schultz. The White Sox are basically trying to thread the needle with this new school idea of, again, there's only so many figurative bullets in those arms. So why waste them in the minors, especially if guys are showing that they can command their pitches? But the downside is you don't build up endurance then. So to me, that's why I'm fascinated to see how many innings Grant Taylor finishes with this season. And if he does move to the rotation next year, how does he look? I think he could be that litmus test for maybe the White Sox need to go about developing pitchers in terms of following the path of what they're doing with Taylor and now Hagen Smith. Yeah, I have him throw 75 to 100 innings as a starter in all levels, but then convert him to the bullpen to get him up there. But they've got to figure out how to recharge some of these guys. Adding more pitching in the offseason could be another potential solution, and the White Sox are reportedly checking in on a Japanese star pitcher that I want to discuss next.
I was juggling a couple different apps the other day, and then I realized to myself, why don't I just use our friends at Clutch Parlays, because that is their expertise. Instead of going to multiple different apps to check different injuries and betting lines, I can see it all in one with our friends at Clutch Parlays. And a little bit of bonus there is they give you data to back their bets. Maybe you want to do a double for a star player that night. They can give you the percentage of what they hit on for that exact bet. And that's why I love our friends at Clutch Parlays. But here's the offer for you. Find the best line and build smarter parlays. Track every bet and make more informed betting decisions, all with ClutchParlays.com. Right now, Clutch Parlays is offering a great deal for Locked On listeners. Your first month free on a monthly plan. They want to make sure that you get a real chance to try it out and see what it can do for you. Go to ClutchParlays.com today and use code Locked On to claim it. ClutchParlays.com. Bring together live odds, line shopping, predictions, bet tracking, analytics in one place so you can bet with more confidence.
Welcome back to Locked On White Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Shout out to all the everydayers. I do appreciate your loyalty. The White Sox tried to land Roki Sasaki in the offseason heading into the 2025 season and failed. Then they tried to get Tatsuya Imai this past offseason and failed. But now the White Sox are reportedly scouting, let's see if I can get this right, Kaima Taira. Kaima Taira. Hopefully I got this right. And again, I always butcher this name too, the Cebu Lions. And while he's on the short side at only 5'8", he is leading the MPB in ERA, and he's got some nasty stuff. And he's got some versatility in that he can bring a reliever and a starter profile. And I keep advocating for it. Keep opening up Japan, especially how those guys can provide basically immediate impacts like Mune has shown. Again, it's like 4A baseball. You don't have to do a ton of the development. Japan's already done it for you. You just usually get them when they're a little bit older because of the contract rights and the postings. Now, who knows if he'll be posted? Based on if I did my research correctly, he did sign an extension in Japan, and you also got the lockout looming. But Yaku Cosmopolitan, he's been helping out Just Baseball. He's basically like the English-Japanese reporter that you should follow to see how everybody's got, how everybody is doing in Japan that teams are targeting. He reported on Twitter that the White Sox, along with the Cubs, the Yankees, the Mariners, Rangers, Angels, and Tigers and Padres, were reportedly in attendance and watched him throw a masterpiece in his last outing. 7 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, 97.3 miles per hour on the fastball. And then he shared that, this guy's got some darn good stuff via, the advanced stats. And Brandon 2 of Prospect Lives, he wrote this about, again, I want to make sure I'm not butchering the name, Kaima Taira. That's what I heard when I went on YouTube and made sure, listen to some other people say it. If I butchered the name, I apologize. I know some of our Japanese listeners, if I got it wrong, please put it in the comments. So in case the White Sox do pursue him in the offseason, I can definitely pronounce the name correctly. And I remember with Tatsuya Imai, we had Tatsuya Imai, Imiya. I remember those type of issues. It's just, please, I'm doing my best here. That's what he writes. He's been brilliant in whatever role he's been deployed in throughout his career, bouncing from closer to a legitimate starter in MPB. He has flourished by keeping his pitch mix expansive, even in a relief role, and his desire to start is well known. This season, he's been arguably the best pitcher in the league. He makes the most of his smaller 5'8", 209-pound frame, generating high velocity through aggressive movement. He starts with a super aggressive drift and counter rotates his pelvis, with the lead foot pointing right back towards second base. As he drifts towards the mound, he sinks deep into his back leg while holding in this rotation of his front side much longer than most, stayed close down the slope. He lengthens his stride deep down the mound with big extension, pushing off the rubber and almost gliding into foot strike as he lands heel to toe with his left foot. He creates a big stretch across his chest as he flips the arm up getting into a strong, powerful position that allows him to drive the ball on an uphill plane from a low 3/4 arm slot and a lower release height because of his 6'8" extension. And if the White Sox keep tapping into Japan for some upgrades, first, it helps actual business. I mean, I've seen it. I'm very grateful that, we've added some listeners from Japan, and we've got some of them commenting and interacting, and it's awesome. But it definitely helps the business. And second, as you're now starting to see teams be more cautious, at least either when it comes to years or even overall money with Japanese players, it could be a good way to actually convince an owner who doesn't pay for pitching that you should try to sign this solid arm because of business being potentially good. The guy's got 109 Ks and 117 innings. Now, obviously, the height is going to be a concern. And, reading about he's only 208 pounds. Can he hold up? Especially that if he's a starter, you got to pitch every 5 days. But you overlook some imperfections here with the production. And when you watch the clips, it's like, whoo, this guy's got some talent. And even if it's just a reliever, the White Sox need help there, especially long term. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if he does get posted, or is there an international posting this offseason since you got this lockout looming? And if he is posted, does he quickly sign? Or is he going to try to see if he can get, the best deal possible and wait, till the deadline? And if he waits, there could be a lockout. Because remember, we are going to have a tick of an offseason. The CBA doesn't expire until December. So you are going to have, a few weeks. It's going to be interesting to see, though, what do teams do? Are they going to make some signings? But I think with the lockout looming, I would predict probably everybody's going to have to wait another year. I know Francis Romero, I think he tweeted out I think it was last week, that there's even talk that the international free agent signing for prospects this year has been canceled because, again, of the looming lockout. But that's a little bit different in terms of, the owners are going to be trying to push for a draft in the international market. This guy would not qualify as a prospect. He's going to be a free agent. So I think that no matter what happens, that's going to stay, the posting system then. But it will be interesting to see what they're doing. But I still like that the White Sox are going to keep doing their due diligence. I like that they have a scout in Japan. I would like them to have maybe a few more, and tap into Shingo Takatsu and Tadahito Oguchi. And again, now really tap into Munetaka Murakami. I know he's slumping, but this guy is still a dude. And guys go through lulls in the big leagues. It happens. It's a 162-game season. Okay, you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. But Mooney is still providing, obviously, value by he gets on base. So I would just say this is a name to keep an eye on. Watch the YouTube highlights when you can. I would expect him more to be of a target, though, probably in the offseason heading into the 2028 season. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. I'll be back tomorrow with your mailbag questions and comments and Fan Poll Friday. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox, or wherever you get your audio podcasts. This show is available on places such as Apple or Spotify. You can email me with questions or comments to lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. You can also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can follow me at Todd J. Dub. And also the show's a TikTok page at Locked On White Sox. And thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until World Series champions crown. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or listen to your podcast. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later.